Here.
Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2020, this meeting will be conducted in person and as a courtesy via remote means in accordance with applicable law. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation is being provided as a courtesy to the public and board members, the meeting and hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless required by law. This meeting will be recorded by the local scene. Members of the public who wish to watch the meeting may do so by viewing the Duxbury Government Access Channels, Verizon 39 or Comcast 9. Viewers can also visit thelocalscene.media/Duxbury for information about Duxbury programming, including streaming and watching replays on Duxbury YouTube. With that, I call this meeting to order, and the first item is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Next item is open forum. If anybody has anything they'd like for our future agendas, you may come to the podium. We can't deliberate about it because it's not on the agenda tonight. Does anybody from the board have anything for open forum?
I don't.
Okay. Oh, go
A
ahead.
quick one just for, and maybe this could come under the town manager's report, but for upcoming discussions regarding potential override.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry. Just regarding discussions as we move forward with a potential override, if we could ask the fiscal advisory to give us an update as to any projects that they see looming. I think, again, it's in my effort to provide the residents with as much information, especially about expenses that we know are coming down the pike. I think that'll be helpful. Thank you.
Great minds. Yep, I'll mention that in our report.
All right. Anybody from the public? There being none, I will go ahead.
No, I just want the blue.
Oh,
The blue folder.
I didn't finish, but that's okay. Go for it.
Oh, you
All
didn't?
right.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
And a
Does
pen.
anybody have anything else to run out the clock to 6:35?
Can I borrow a pen, Amy?
Oh, sure. I have two.
I have two. I just want one. We
I'll give it one. Go a minute here.
we could do some minutes.
All right. It's not a bad idea, actually.
It's a great idea.
Could I see your agenda? I got handed me last week's agenda. You're fine. You're fine. Thank you. Thank you.
You'll hear when he speaks.
All right, we'll do one. How about the minutes? We'll jump to executive session minutes for January 6th, 2025. We've open session minutes for February 12th, 2024, and May 13th, 2024, and October 28th, 2024.
I move to approve the January 6, 2025 Select Board Executive Session minutes with the contents to remain confidential until the need has passed as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain?
I move to approve the February 12, 2024 Select Board Open Session minutes as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move to approve the May 13th, 2024 Select Board Open Session minutes as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move to approve the October 28th, 2024 Select Board Open Session minutes as presented.
All those in favor?
Do we have a
Aye.
second? Aye.
Oh, second.
Second and then aye. All right.
Abstain.
It being 6:35, we can move on to the public hearing of 2025 aquaculture float renewal applications. The state has said, and on an annual basis, the select board has to grant a permit for the floats where processing of the aquaculture products is done. The floats are in 3 designated areas. May I have a motion to open the aquaculture public hearing?
I move the Select Board open the aquaculture float license public hearing as advertised in the Duxbury Clipper on January 1st, 2025, regarding the aquaculture float license renewal applications from the aquaculture grant holders named in the notice.
Second.
And may I have a roll call vote?
Brian, aye.
Amy, aye.
Michael, aye.
Cindy, aye.
Thank you. Mr. Richard Brennan, the chair of the Shellfish Advisory Committee, stated in his memo dated December 16, 2024, that the Shellfish Advisory Committee met on December 11, 2024, to discuss the applications and voted to recommend that Select Board approve the applications. I know Mr. Brennan's here tonight. And you're already there.
Bingo.
Would you mind introducing yourself and if
Yeah,
you would
Dick
like to say?
Brennan, 100 Myrtle Street, Shellfish Advisory Chair. We held a scheduled meeting December 11th, 2014. The meeting was called to review the yearly applications for aquaculture floats and upwells. The floats themselves serve as a processing station where the oysters are sorted by size and conditions. The ones that are marketable are then placed in sized bags and delivered to the landing and transferred to the wholesalers. The oysters that are not suitable for market are reintroduced to the grant for additional growth. Additionally, many of the floats have upwellers in it. There's always been a question about what an upweller is. Upwellers are actually nurseries for seed oysters, seaside oysters, where they're grown in a controlled environment until they come to size and are able to survive and be controlled in the open ocean. Many of them have it, some don't. Some use some of the floats at the Maritime School. Each of the grant holders, which there are 30 of them, are entitled to apply for a float license or application. As of now, 25 applicants for float application. There are 25 applications for float licenses. We reviewed the applications en masse, and the committee voted unanimously to approve the applications, and the board recommends that all applications are to be granted permits. The application process is pretty simple. They just have to, there's an application process which is basically what they're doing, what they're producing, that kind of stuff, and an outline of how they do that. It's simplified it the last time, and it's a very basic system that he uses to do it. So we recommend that all 25 be approved.
Any questions from the board? Go ahead. Sorry.
Mr. Brennan, back in August, we had been privy to a violation. One of the leaseholders was in violation of the lease and performing activities that were not allowed under the lease. And letters were sent, and where did that go?
He stopped doing what he was doing immediately, and is now in compliance with what's allowed.
Okay, because I will say that for me, it is important that the leaseholders follow the provisions of the lease and only be conducting activities that are allowed under the lease. And this leaseholder was clearly in violation and participating in activities that were well beyond anything I had anticipated would be going on. So I think for me, I would be reluctant to extend the lease for that individual had he not immediately ceased and desisted, as I hear that was the case. I just want to make sure that we
that's exactly what happened. Yeah. He was out of compliance. It was reported to the committee. We discussed it, and a letter came from your office for him to cease and desist, and I followed that pretty closely, and he did immediately. Right now, he's in compliance. The application's in compliance.
And should a member not be in compliance, and we need to, there must be a process in which that lease could be withdrawn, we could remove his leaf if that, if.
Everything comes under your auspices.
Okay, so in the event, so it's not a year, if in the event there was another problem, we could open a hearing and handle it that way, right, Jake? I just want to make sure that we don't, it's not a year and we'd have to wait for the full year to be up.
Right, exactly. You have,
Okay.
as the shellfish constable and the enforcement agent of the board, you are the licensing authority, and I can provide you with any documentation for anything that violations therein, and I can assure you that if there are any violations this next year, I will notify you in short order.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, question.
Of course.
Mr. Brennan, the individuals who have applied for renewal, are they all actively farming?
Say it again.
Are all the individuals who are applying actively farming?
Yes, all of them are.
Okay, thank you.
There are a number of farmers here. If you'd like to ask them any questions, I'm sure they'd be delighted to answer any question that you have about the process.
I don't have any questions about the process.
No, I
I
don't
know you
either.
work hard.
I just said, yeah, I think they do work hard. A question about the applications. Is there a fee for that to apply?
Yeah, it's a $25 fee.
Or yearly then?
Yes, correct. Yeah, so it's similar to an aquaculture. It's set by state statute, $25.
Oh, it is, okay.
All right. How's it going? We having a good year?
A little chilly out there, huh?
No.
It's all fun in the summer, isn't it?
Tours are cheap.
You ready for a motion?
Yes, I am.
I move the Select Board approve the float license renewal applications submitted by the following applicants: Arthur Bennett, William Bennett, Mark Rolfiller, Brad Doyle, Scott Doyle, Michael George, Stephen Gilbert, Joseph Grady, Christian Horn, Robert Knecht, Benjamin Lloyd, Victoria Lloyd, Donald Merry, Gregory Morris, Christopher Phillips, Joseph Pierce, Ursula Pierce, Peter Prime, Andy Popolo, Christopher Sherman, Kevin Thompson, and Brian Zeck, and is required by General Law, Chapter 130, Sections 57 through 68, grant permission to conduct activities outlined by the Town of Duxbury Shellfish Aquaculture Grant Regulation, Section 11, pending all federal, state, and local reviews and approvals.
Second.
May I have a roll call vote?
Brian, aye.
Amy, aye.
Michael, aye.
Cindy, aye.
I move that the Select Board close the aquaculture float license public hearing.
Second.
Oh, second. Sorry.
And another roll call vote.
Brian, aye.
Amy, aye.
Michael, aye.
Cindy, aye.
Thank you, everyone. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay warm out there.
That's quite a turnout.
Amy.
I'll forward it to you right now. You've got it back in August.
All right. What am I doing here?
Get some poll petitions.
Yeah, sorry. Discussion regarding Verizon poll petitions, 2 locations on Keene Street. These will be presented by our town manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Several weeks ago, our office received petitions from Verizon New England Incorporated and Instar Electric, doing business as Eversource Energy, who are the petitioners for the following. Wow, that echo is wild. Sorry to the viewers at home, there's an echo in the room, it's exciting. Isn't it? The first was Keene Street, job number 1A6 HP8D. The placement of one new jointly owned pole number 167/365.5, on the westerly side of Keene Street to a point approximately 85 feet southerly of existing pole number 167/36, and to a point approximately 115 feet northerly of the existing pole number 167/37. This petition is necessary to accommodate the new construction of the new development across the street to be known as Snowy Owl Circle. And the second one was for 675 Keene Street, job number 1A6QS And the project is to relocate one jointly owned pole, pole number 31, on the easterly side of Keene Street to a point approximately 20 feet northerly of its current condition. Said new pole location is to be at a point approximately 145 feet southerly from existing pole number 30. This petition is necessary to accommodate new construction. An administrative hearing on these requests was held at 9 a.m. last Thursday, January 9th, in my office, for which notifications were sent to the abutters by certified mail. Nobody showed for the meeting except for the applicant. In addition, legal notice was published in the Duxbury Clipper on December 25th, 2024, and there's an attached memo to the board and corresponding documentation, and you have a proposed motion before you. There you go.
Go ahead.
I just have a quick question. Have the names of those streets been formalized? I mean, is that or definitively decided upon?
I think so. It usually is done by,
Tony?
yeah, I think it starts at the planning office or building, and then it goes around through fire and police, because they want to make sure that we don't have a repetition on the name. Yeah, so. Why, do you not like the name?
I hate them. I don't like them.
You don't like
There's no
Snowy Owl?
snowy owls out in Keene Street, first of all. It never has been. And there's no such thing as a Red Hawk, which is the name of the other street. I just think they're odd choices.
Yeah. They might have been proposed by the developer. Typically, they are.
Might have been.
Yeah, but I think Tony, I think the town historian, which I believe is Tony Kelso
Yes.
at this particular time, has final say.
He does. I'm just wondering if that has been done, if that's been a final say.
Honestly, I don't know if they've
Okay.
been finalized.
Okay, that's all right. I will
Do you want me to
check
find
with
out?
Tony, or I can.
We can do Lad Fiorini Way. Would you like
No.
that? City Lane?
City Lane.
That sounds nice. Rainey, the one on Keene Street across from the Snowy Owl, proposed Snowy Owl Circle, is on the playing field, and I know there's existing poles there now.
Yes.
Was there any kind of, it's hard to envision this, is that impacting youth baseball or
No.
anything like that? I know they're kind of tucked in the back there.
No, it wouldn't.
So is this in the playground area or anything like that?
Oh, no. It's it's literally on the edge of the pavement, just like it shows. Sheila goes out and checks every location before we
Okay,
work it.
so it's not going to interrupt any kind of work that's on, okay. All right, I'm ready for a motion.
All right, I'm
Oh,
happy.
sorry, anybody from the public have any questions? There's two of you. All right. All
Nobody
right.
on
I'm happy to
Zoom
echo
world?
Cindy's request that perhaps we think of names that might be a little more historically significant to the area. With that said, I will offer, let me see, do you want them together or separate? Do you care?
Separate's probably
Okay.
easier.
So we'll do them separately.
Thank you.
The first one, Keene Street, job number 1A6HP8D. I move that the select board authorize the order for replacement for one new joint owned pole, P.167/36.5, on the westerly side of Keene Street, approximately 85 feet southerly of existing pole P.167/36, and to a point approximately 115 feet northerly of existing pole P.167/37, along with conditions presented by Sheila Scarzi, Director of Public Works, and that Verizon New England, Inc. and/or N-Star Electric, DBA, Eversource Energy contact the Duxbury Department of Public Works at least 48 hours prior to commencement of the project. That's the motion.
Okay, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, second motion, this is for 675 Keene Street, job number 1A6QS0A. I move that the select board authorize the order to relocate one jointly owned pole, P.31, on the easterly side of Keene Street to a point approximately 20 feet northerly of its current location. Said new pole location is also to a point approximately 145 feet southerly from existing pole, P.30, along with the conditions presented by Sheila Scarzi, Director of Public Works, and that Verizon New England, Inc. and/or N-Star Electric, DBA, Eversource Energy contact the Duxbury Duxbury Department of Public Works at least 48 hours prior to the commencement of the project.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Would have been nice for them to bury some of this when they built these developments.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
I mean, when they dug.
Oh, believe me, I wish they could all be buried.
Yeah, I mean.
They do them, they have done that, yeah.
Yeah.
This thing now, so.
Are they going to bury the
These are new
line?
roadways that are, so
Right,
these are
but
just
these are-
servicing,
Exactly. When
so
they-
those,
when
so
they
the
come in,
utility they may bury them inside
the
the
s-
subdivision.
once
In
they
the
come in,
sub, yeah,
they drop.
Yeah.
yeah. It's the way it is on my street, which is, poles on Keene Street, and then it's buried on the way in.
They drop when they hit the property.
This is my op-ed. All right.
Thank you.
There's an
Wendell.
yes, that appears to have been canceled.
Oh.
There was an update from the Alternative Energy Committee regarding municipal aggregation and greenhouse gas emission survey, and that has been moved. And do you want to provide a
Wendell's going to reach out to us and give us a date.
Great. Okay.
He had a situation that required him to be elsewhere.
All right, that's
But
fine.
it's still on track, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. In fact, we're making sure of that.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
he was nervous about that, but we got it well squared away.
All right. The next is a discussion regarding a vote of intention to lay out Checkerberry Circle and Sunflower Circle as public ways and refer the layout to the planning board per a citizen's petition request. All
Can I cover this one?
Sure.
Okay. So in your packet, you'll see a bunch of information on this. On November 27th, 2024, the town clerk's office received a citizen's petition requesting to accept Checkerberry Hill, previously known as 0 Lincoln Street, consisting of Checkerberry Circle and Sunflower Circle as public ways. The first step in this process is for the select board to vote its intention to lay out Checkerberry Circle and Sunflower Circle as public ways, and then refer the layout to the planning board for its non-binding recommendation, and that referral is attached. At a later meeting, the next step is for the select board, is to adopt an order of layout, laying out Checkerberry Circle and Sunflower Circle as public ways at a public meeting after the planning board has submitted its report to the town and has given notice of the public meeting to the petitioner. There will be an article at the March 8th, 2025 annual town meeting for this citizen's petition request and acceptance of the foregoing. Amy, I know you probably have a question or two.
Well, I think it's important that we've been down this road before, no pun intended. There is a process for this, and as you know, most recently, we recommended approval to town meeting for a public way that was built 100% in accordance with the subdivision rules and regulations for a public way. Prior to that, there have been other neighborhoods that have come forward and asked for town acceptance of their roadways. But however, those roadways, we confirmed, were not built in accordance with the rules and regs for public roadways. And therefore, waivers were granted to those, to the developers of that roadway, and as such, didn't meet the standards for the town for it to be a good idea for the town to take over the roadway. So I believe in that instance, this board with town council did not lay it out. We just simply did not lay out the road. It kind of creates a situation where the road stays private. It was built to be private, it stays private, and it does not become the responsibility of the town to maintain, plow, and otherwise. So I think it's important to follow the past practices, to be fair to everybody. This is a non-binding, I did call Rainey about this today because I was concerned, because again, I want to make sure that we treat all of these the same. And where this is, not a bind, we're just kicking this off to have a report back from the planning board that will acknowledge whether the roadway was built with any waivers, which I suspect it was, but we will wait to see that report. and then we will go from there. So this is a non-binding, kind of just kicking this off to get the information that we need.
Yes, and just, I think, we got a nice, let's see, letter from the Checkerberry Hill residents. This is a development that we're very familiar with here. We worked with the developer on this, and as well as the Affordable Housing Trust. They write, the residents of Checkerberry Circle and Sunflower Circle is requesting consideration of the Duxbury Selectboard and the Duxbury Finance Committee to consider supporting this article. Checkerberry Hill is a 40B development composed of Checkerberry Circle and Sunflower Circle. The neighborhood is 20 single-family detached homes on individual quarter-acre lots. There is a significant amount of open space. The development is on approximately 5 acres, and 15 plus or minus acres are open space and will remain so. It consists of 5 affordable units, 5 moderate units, and 10 market units. Checkerberry Hill development was awarded by Builders and Remodelers Association of Greater Boston their 2024 Excellence in Community Design Best Affordable Community category. Reasons to consider supporting this article: by being a 40B development, it assists the town of Duxbury in meeting the state of Massachusetts affordable housing requirements. The town of Duxbury should encourage 40B developments. The exit of Checkerberry Hill is a declining slope flowing onto a busy main street, Lincoln Street. There's also ball fields down there. And there's a potential safety aspect during the winter season. Also, there's a safety aspect during the winter season that the roads are accessible to emergency vehicles. Therefore, we ask for your favorable vote to recommend Checkerberry Hill residents. So, with that, I am happy to take a motion to advance this to the next stage, and hopefully we get a nice report from the planning board to provide us some more information.
All right, nothing else? I move that the Select Board votes its intention to lay out Checkerberry Circle and Sunflower Circle as public ways, all as shown on a plan entitled Plan of Land, number 0 Lincoln Street, Duxbury, Massachusetts, dated August 18th, 2023, prepared by Grady Consulting, LLC, recorded with the Plymouth County Registry of Deeds, at Plan Book 67, page 414, which plan is on file with the town clerk, and to forward this vote and the plan to the planning board for its comments and recommendations pursuant to General Law, Chapter 41, Sections 81G and I.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. When this comes up, if there's any questions about it, obviously the builder is a resident. If we could have them come in if there's any problems.
Yeah, sure.
Questions about what the intent was here.
I think that's all going to be in the record.
I hope
It's
so.
clear- It's clear, every waiver or every deviation
Yeah.
from the standards are going to be in both the comprehensive permit, which actually is not going to be with the planning board. It's going to be with the zoning board of appeals. So that will all be, it is or it isn't, so
Yep.
we'll see.
Great. Excellent. All right. We are voting to close the annual town meeting warrant. I'd love to close it. When do you expect we'll have a copy of it?
Not this week, but I'm hoping a draft for next week.
Okay. So for the viewers at home, what does this mean?
Hold on, Mr. Chairman, what did I tell you today? What week is that? Week of what? What did I say? Because you asked me the same question. Was it?
I don't know, I might not have opened it.
Oh,
You
the
told me to
last
stop
week-
bothering you, I think.
No, I didn't say that. The last week of January. It won't be this week, but I think I'm shooting for sometime next week. It's almost done. So,
Soon, Michael, soon.
yes, it's imminent.
Well, there's some critical information that's not in there yet, like some numbers of what
Well,
articles, I don't know what the PFAS article is looking for.
Right.
I don't
I'm
know
waiting
what
for
the
that.
override amount is
Yep.
going to be, all the.
Yep, that, there are some figures that still need to be loaded in there, but it's, I'd say 80% developed, so.
would you mind explaining for the public what this means? Because we do have a lot of people watching
Oh,
this
sure.
season of override
Yeah,
and everything else.
The idea here is to close the annual town meeting warrant because the bylaws require us to close it 45 days prior to town meeting. We're within that, we're just outside of that window. And once we close it, that means all the articles that have been submitted, whether they be citizens petitions, articles from the board, the finance committee, anybody, they're all sort of set at this point. So people have given me placeholders saying, I'd like to make sure that I have an article for such and such, and now, and in the past week or so, I've been following up with them saying, okay, I need your article for such and such in final form. And what happens is it all comes into my office. The articles are formatted, so you have the article, an explanation that accompanies it. We load in what will eventually become the quorum of vote from the Select Board, Finance Committee, and if applicable, the Fiscal Advisory Committee. We get it all set up, ready to go, so that we can push it out in a draft format so everybody can see it. And that includes everything. Article 4 for compensation, Article 5 and 5A and 5B, which will be the omnibus operating budget, and then the override budget. Articles 6 and 7 for capital and capital light. So we put all that stuff together, and it all comes to a head, and then we get it out there so that you and the Finance Committee can, and the Fiscal Advisory Committee, where applicable, can start reviewing each of the articles and voting recommendations to the voters at town meeting. So we have it all wrapped up before it goes to press, usually March 8th, sort of the middle of February.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And
concurrent to that, Mike, if I may, we'll also be coming in with a special town meeting warrant, which has a shorter deadline, fewer articles too.
Okay. Oftentimes, we open and close the warrant. Could you kind of explain the ability to do that?
In some cases, we don't do it very often because it's, we like to try and just have it closed and that's it, and we're off to the races. If anything needed to be added to a warrant, we typically try to do it in the special because of the shortened time frame for getting articles in there. The board can reopen the warrant if necessary. That possibility does exist for an article that may be proposed by one group. We'll see. Once I hear back from them, they say, yes, we'd like you to request that the board reopen it, then we might do that. Sometimes that happens. If there's new information or a project that somebody's working on that would need town meeting authorization, they come to the board and say, board, could you please consider reopening? And in that case, more often than not, the board says, sure, no problem.
Great, thank you. Any board members have any question?
I do about Article 4.
Yep.
This board had asked more than once for the cost of the most recent compensation
Yes.
study that we heard about. We did not endorse that, or we were presented with that compensation study. So do we have a cost of that?
I will find out for your next meeting. I will find out the status.
Any other questions?
I don't.
Any members of the public have any questions about this vote? All right, great. I'll take a motion.
I move to close the annual town meeting warrant.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Town managers report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Two things. One, it was mentioned earlier about the idea of fiscal advisory projects. Just to let you know, Alex Chin has been working with Mary as recently as this morning on an analysis of the town's debt schedule to help understand the impact of the override and debt on the residents' tax bills. I'm going to follow up with him and see what information he's coming up with and how it can be shared. And if there's stuff to be shared, I'll make sure you all see it, that everybody sees it. When I say you all, I'm talking in the global sense. The only other information I had was we have hired a new CTO. His name is Mike Woodford. He worked here previously a few years ago, and his start date will be February 10th. So we're excited to welcome Mike back to the fold.
I'm sorry, CTO.
Chief Technology Officer, the guy that runs IT.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, through you, to ask the town manager, once we have the new CTO on board and he's got his legs under him, I would appreciate, maybe under executive session if necessary, this board receive a briefing on cybersecurity.
Sure.
We have lots going on online. Municipalities across the country are low-hanging fruit. I know we've taken efforts to secure our networks and systems, but I think it'd be important for this board to understand what we do to keep the residents' data safe and that sort of thing.
Yep, I will ask.
Yeah.
And I know Brian and I have been hearing about it from the Plymouth Advisory
Yep.
board, but they had some money set aside. Grants or the like, it's just money set aside to help out the member communities in Plymouth County. We may have already taken advantage of some of it, so but if that's out there, we might as well.
Yep. I will chat with him. Thank you.
May I address our platter, which we haven't talked about in quite a long time? Our platter, which is also our to-do list, that
Yes,
is quite
sure.
lengthy. And I fear that some of the items on the to-do list are not, I realize that we have huge, issues with an override, but other issues are important as well. So I would like to try to get back to the platter and try to address some of the issues. And most specifically, I think, again, we've been receiving a lot of emails of late. I also have been receiving letters at home. I think it's important to address some of the issues that are on people's mind, specifically with this. We have brought it up numerous times about the sand mining. Again, I think that there were unintended consequences with what we did. We've asked to look at that bylaw again, and I think we should consider putting a moratorium on that until we can wrap our arms around that bylaw and make some changes. So I would like the board to consider and even move that we put a moratorium on this, because I think people are, that again, these unintended consequences are not getting better, and we've got to address it.
Can we put that on the agenda for the next meeting?
Yeah.
I don't want to take a motion where it's not posted.
Yep.
Okay, and then,
I'll get you the list, too.
thank you. And in regards to, I don't know if other people are receiving mail at home from anonymous.
Actual, USPS mail.
US mail. So I've received several letters from people who are wishing to remain anonymous. And they're legitimate, people have legitimate, serious concerns. And I would like to be able to address those concerns, but we know, and the public knows, that, we're limited to the open meeting laws. And so we can't, so in order to discuss the concerns contained in the letters, I need to be able to share them with the board. And so I certainly don't want to do that without the permission of the writers. So I think if I could ask the writers of the letters if they would like us to address these issues, and I'm happy to submit them to be distributed to the board, and perhaps they could communicate with me in a way that they feel comfortable by mail again, if that's their preference. Please send maybe the first page of your letter so that I know that I can match the person with the correspondence, and let me know if it's okay to share the concerns, the letters, the documents. Some of them are lengthy, with the board, and that way it's on the record and we are better able to address the concerns. That's it. Thank you.
My only, it's been coming up tangentially during these budget meetings, but the lease, I'm sure there'll be an article for it. Could we get,
I'd say which lease, but I think I know which one you're referring to.
yeah. There's
I think
only
he's
one.
referring to the beach lease.
Yeah. What the amount requested is?
$1 million.
Okay. So it remained at $1 million?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I would like, when we vote on that, to also to do the lease that day too, the terms of it, if they're going to keep it the same. So we
You
can
mean
move on.
vote on it.
Vote on the actual lease itself, the terms of the actual lease. We've debated over it in past years. It appears that's the lease, and that's going to be the lease going forward.
Right, but we need town meeting authorization before the lease can be signed.
We need town meeting authorizes the funding for it.
Yes.
Then we do the lease
Cart
afterwards.
before the horse, then
I
you're
know.
having trouble with,
And,
I get it.
And I've heard, and there's been concerns, and I think I hear them, that we should do it the other way around. That the town meeting should know what the terms of the lease are before they appropriate the funds.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
And I don't have I think that's a better way to do it, and I think we could do it in the night that we endorse the article, too.
Yeah.
Or,
You mean recommend approval or not recommend
yeah,
approval? Got it.
sorry, I'm using.
That's okay. I just want to make sure I understand.
Okay, I know what
And we
you're
don't
saying.
have to set aside a night in June when it doesn't really matter at that point because we've already appropriated the funds and the beach is going to be opening in 3 weeks. I'd rather do it all in the winter.
Yeah, I'm making myself a note. I know what you're saying. I'll
Okay.
see what I can find out.
Anybody else before I take this? I believe. Go right ahead.
Hi. Sue Schofield, James Road. So when you negotiate the lease, I mean, I know they put it out that it's $1 million, and I also know that in town, there's a great level of frustration and dissatisfaction. What about negotiating the price? Even $975. I don't know, it's just a thought. I know I know, Cindy, but that's just a thought.
No, I'm just
Okay.
saying.
We're not gonna
we
respond.
Can't discuss it
Oh,
tonight.
okay, so
That's all. That was all.
Okay, so that's fine, but I
Yeah.
just I negotiate contracts all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So and I know there's a lot of different moving parts. So when is the opportunity to have that discussion with the beach people?
Well, that's what so I'm not going to respond to your
Okay.
substantively because nobody's been put on notice and it's not on the agenda. But what I was asking town
the
manager
process.
is for a later date on the agenda that we could post that and discuss that, especially when we're doing the article.
So not in terms to this specific lease,
Mm-hmm.
but what's the process
For what?
for discussing the contract with a party like that? So I'm just trying to understand the process. Like, I know what the beach wants, what they want. I don't want to talk about the beach. I'm just saying in terms, it's hard to negotiate or to talk about it. So, and we have to decide by March, so it's hard,
I know,
right?
I know. I'm trying to think of a way to kind of give you
Talk about it, but not
to
talk
give you an
about it.
abstract
Yeah.
that all right, there are other
To be
leases.
clear,
There
I'm
are
not
other
talking
leases.
about the beach. I'm not talking about the beach lease, okay?
Right. There are other leases in town, okay? And typically, the process is I, along with, in some cases, the finance director, or if it's a specific property that we lease, like perhaps a golf course, if you will, I might have the recreation director involved in that discussion, along with the lessee. And we would go over the terms of the lease, review it, see if it's favorable, talk about the dollar amount. A document gets drafted by council. We go back and forth. Their attorney looks at it, we look at it, and come to an agreement. Then it's brought here for a recommendation. Ultimately, the voters at town meeting would decide that, particularly with the money part of it. The terms are negotiated separate and apart from town meeting. Town meeting authorizes the money. So that's kind of how it works.
Got it. So at town meeting, if they could just vote it down?
Yeah,
And then there wouldn't be a contract?
that's correct. That was discussed last year at town
Yeah.
meeting.
Well,
I'm sure
I'm
you
not
were
talking
there.
about anything in particular, but just saying.
There was a lease that was
Eh,
discussed at town meeting last
yeah.
year, and the question of whether or not that lease should be funded or not
Yeah.
was discussed.
Okay. All right. I'm trying to avoid that kind of a,
Understand?
Yeah.
it's just trying to understand the process. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you. All right. Anything else in the town meeting?
That's all I
right.
got. Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. I know that we received a copy of it, but for the public, the agenda is posted for Thursday night's Finance Committee meeting that we will also we're part of, and we'll we've posted.
Yep.
And it specifies what department heads will be there
That's correct.
on Thursday night. So it's on the Town of Duxbury website if anybody's interested. It's been posted.
And to be a touch more specific, it'll be fire and police.
Okay, there were others on there. Public Works and,
I think Public Works is the following week.
okay, so for this Thursday, fire and police.
Yes, definitely.
I
Tomorrow
thought it was
night-
pretty heavy a list.
Tomorrow night, just so you know, the Finance Committee is going to be reviewing the CPC articles with the members of the CPC.
Okay.
Tune in.
Will they be coming to us, or are we?
Cindy asked me the same question. They could be, if you want them to. We can ask them to.
Okay.
Excuse me, I think they're recording tomorrow, so, oh, actually, sorry, hold on a sec. Mary just texted me. It's public safety, forgive me.
So on the agenda for the Thursday night is police, fire, municipal services, inspectional services, harbor master, and facilities.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so it's public safety. Yeah,
And some others,
yeah,
if we get to them.
right.
Okay.
And that's Thursday, yeah.
So as far as the CPC, you know, there's a question about, do we listen tomorrow night? We could listen to a recording
Yes.
and
vote
vote.
later on.
Yeah,
Mhm.
or we could have them come in. I mean, I
Okay.
don't know.
Yeah,
Do you know offhand how many CPC articles are going to be?
I want to say 8, Cindy. It's 7, 8, or 9. It's somewhere in there.
I should know that.
Actually, I emailed them to you
You did.
this morning.
You did. I didn't
Yeah,
actually
that's
read the
okay.
whole thing.
That's okay. You probably haven't read them yet. That's okay. We've all got a lot going on.
My granddaughter's not interested.
Really? There's a playground in there.
There is. Well, let's let finance take a crack at it. and
Yeah, see how it works, right? See how it
we can
goes.
Discuss
Yeah.
it at the next meeting. and
Yeah,
see
if your
we wanna
questions
bring
are
them.
unanswered, we can have them come in. Whatever you guys,
They may want to come in
yep, that's true.
and be on PAC-TV and,
Yeah.
Again, it is the meeting tomorrow night for the Finance Committee. I mean, I know it's not a joint meeting, so I'm assuming they're having it in their regular upstairs
Yes.
room at the senior center.
That's
It's a
correct.
problematic room to hear
Correct.
either virtually or a recording of. So I would think that the CPC may want to come in and on Thursday, where are we? Are we downstairs in the
Yes,
senior
Ellison
center
Room.
again? And is it going to be televised?
I believe so. Wait, is it PAC-TV coming in this Thursday, or is it the following two? Yeah, it's just Zoom, so. PAC-TV is hard to schedule because they cover a number of communities, so.
I
I know.
I'm sorry, but it frustrates me. This is an incredibly important issue to be able to get to the viewers. So it frustrates me that we're not able to find a venue that can accommodate a live stream to people.
Yeah,
I had heard that-
well, we won't have the live feed, it will be recorded.
Right, and I had heard that people were able to clearly hear
Yes,
when we used the
Yes.
microphone.
I did hear that.
Yes, and we're going to have additional mics also.
Yeah,
That
that
would be
was
good.
ridiculous.
It
That's
was
a
a little-
ridiculous setup.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think that the audio's,
Sure, go ahead.
Joe, member of the public, Sue Schofield. Did you consider this small auditorium over at the PAC for a location for this meeting, for the one on Thursday?
Nancy O'Connor in my office was coordinating the effort, so.
Yeah, because that
This
is.
Thursday's already posted, so it's done.
Okay, so that's fine. But perhaps the setup of the room, it was hard being a member of the public last week. You know, it's a flat room, and that's fine.
Right.
So just to see people, and there's not like a raised space. So it was hard to, it was just hard. And it was great to see the turnout, the number of people there. That was really encouraging. Of course, I love when people come to meetings. I think the more that the public is aware of what's going on, and I think it'll move town meeting along. So people are not hearing things for the first time at town meeting. Yeah, like, I know these are all open meetings, but people don't come, right? I don't know how many people are out there Zooming.
Zoom
What are we
land.
at 4?
Couple
So
right
in
inside.
any event, So I don't know if there's some way to change the layout of the room, or if all the people, all the different committee people, if they could be up front and the public could be out in the audience, or somehow to arrange it that way. I don't know, but
Yeah, it's a, it's a funny layout, you're right.
It
'cause
is.
it's a square U, right? And I've also thought maybe an L,
yeah,
like an angle, like a 45-degree angle. We'll see what we
just
can
something
do.
to consider, but thank you.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Move on to one-day liquor licenses.
I move that Ms. Allison Cowan, as a representative of the Duxbury Art Complex Museum, is granted a one-day wine and malt license to hold an artist reception on Sunday, February 2, 2025, from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the Art Complex Museum, 189 Alden Street, contingent upon the conditions of the license.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. We did the minutes.
Is there another liquor license? No?
No,
Okay.
only one party.
Oh, dear.
Announcements.
We have a lot of announcements tonight. Number one, Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. The town hall will be closed on Monday, January 20, in observance of the Martin Luther King Jr. Day. There will not be a select board meeting. Number two, nomination papers for town election. The following offices will be on the ballot for March 8th, 2025. One select board member for a term of 3 years. One moderator for a term of 3 years. One town clerk for a term of 3 years. One assessor for a term of 3 years. Two school committee members for a term of 3 years. One planning board member for a term of 5 years. One planning board member for the unexpired term of 2 years. Two library trustees for a term of 3 years. And one Duxbury Housing Authority member for a term of 5 years. Nomination papers are available at the town clerk's office and are due back to the town clerk by Friday, January 31st, 2025, by 5 p.m. A candidate must obtain 50 signatures certified by the town clerk to appear on the ballot. Anyone interested in becoming an election worker should contact the town clerk's office for an application. Number three, beginning on Monday, January 20, 2025, the Powder Point Bridge will be fully closed in order to facilitate repairs. The bridge will remain closed to motorists, pedestrians, and cyclists throughout the construction, with the bridge slated to reopen on or before March 31st, 2025. Number four, please note that all event permits and one-day liquor licenses are due 45 days prior to the event date. Updated event requests can be found on the town's website under Departments, Town Managers page. See left side of green page. I suspect that's easier looked at than described. Excuse me.
Awkward.
Yeah. Click on one-day liquor license application and event permit application. I feel like I should be doing like a YouTube tutorial or something, taking you through it. Fifth and finally, the next scheduled select board meetings, plural, are as follows. Thursday, January 16th, 2025, with the Finance Committee in the Ellison Room in the Senior Center starting at 6:30 p.m. Thursday, January 23rd, 2025, with the Finance Committee in the Ellison Room at the Senior Center starting at 6:30 p.m. Monday, January 27th, 2025, regular Select Board meeting in the Mural Room with open session beginning at 7 p.m. There will be two executive session discussions beginning at 6 p.m. And Thursday, January 30, 2025, with the Finance Committee in the Ellison Room at the Senior Center starting at 6:30 p.m.
May I make a correction to the announcements?
You may.
The town election is not on March 8th. Town meeting is on March 8th. The town election is 2 weeks after town meeting, which I believe is the 22nd.
Good catch.
I think it was a sabotage attempt here, but joking.
So the 30th,
Saturday, March 22nd.
the 27th, we have an executive session at 6 o'clock.
Great.
All right, this is
All right.
an incredibly quick meeting.
Motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I didn't second it.
Second. 7:25. Well played, everyone.